Then he met with the various persons, some of the person who cheated him during that journey. Then he met with a person who gave him the job, and he started job there. And then but he left that job also. Then earlier before that job he was living with the ships, and that ships he sold out. So that way he was doing various things. Then he met with the Englishman. Both have the different passions and the likings and dislikings. Santiago want to like to observe the things and experience the things, while the Englishman who want to meet with the alchemist, so he likes to read the books. He was more theoretical. That way, that person. Then he met with another girl, that girl. So he was about to stay and was about to leave his dream, but that girl gave him the another inspiration. She told her that you go and achieve your dream. I will wait for you. So this was the journeys of so far, the story so far. And the day five that we read, that the Santiago journey, uh, he met with the camel driver whose wisdom about living in the present moment touched everyone. Santiago also experienced love at the first sight when he met with Fatima, discovering that love is universal language that speaks beyond words. The Englishman finally found the alchemist, who encouraged him with a simple yet powerful instruction: go and try. Santiago later witnessed two hawks fighting and received a vision of an approaching army, an omen urging him to act with awareness and trust in the universe. So, the other basic themes that we read on day 5, that the living in the present moment. The camel driver reminded us that true happiness lies in focusing on the present moment, not in the regrets or anxieties. Universal language of the love. Santiago's meeting with Fatima revealed how love transcends culture, language, and barriers. To they were not understanding the language, but the universal language of love they understand, and they understand each other. So that author conveys that language of love is the universal language. Romance and divine message. His vision of the approaching army seen through the hawk's behavior showed how God speaks through the nature. Karma and the future, like the Bhagavad Gita teaches, the future may be written, yet present action have the power to reshape it. Then nature's consistency, the deserts unchanged. Nature represents the eternal soul of the world. Then the value through adversity. The oasis gains meaning because of the desert surrounding it, just like changing give value to the blessings. Rigorous practice, comparing life's struggle to metals being refined by fire, reminds us that the pressure and perseverance brings out true potential. So practice and uh, more and more practice bring the true potential. Like we that the author compare that with the metal being refined by the fire. So that way. So this was the reading of day 5. Now we will start the day 6. So I will present the screen. Whosoever want to read, you can write the name in the chat box. We had completed up to page 94. So now I will start with 95, and then you can take on. The boy approached the guard at the front of the huge white tent at the center of Oasis. Just a minute. I want to see the chief dance. I brought omens from the desert. While responding, the guard entered the tent, where he remained for some time. When he emerged, it was with a young Arab dressed in white and gold. The boy told the younger man what he had seen, and the man asked him to wait there. He disappeared into the tent. Night fell, an assortment of fighting men and merchants entered and exited the tent. Sorry. One by one, the campfires were extinguished, and the oasis fell as quiet as the desert. Only the lights in the great tent remained. During all this time, the boy thought about Fatima, and he was still unable to understand his last conversation with her. Finally, after hours of waiting, the guards bade the boy enter. The boy was astonished by what he saw inside. Never could he have imagined that there is, in the middle of the desert, there existed a tent like this one. The ground was covered with the most beautiful carpets he had ever walked upon, and from the top of structure hung some of hand wrought gold, each with a lighted candle. The tribal chieftains were seated at the back of the tent in the semicircle, resting upon richly embroidered silk cuisine. Servants came and went with the silver trays laden with spices and tea. Other servants maintained the fires in the hookahs. The atmosphere was fused with the sweet scent of smoke. There were 8 chieftains, but the boy could see immediately which of them was the most important. The Arab dressed in white and gold, seated at the center of semicircle. At his side was the young Arab the boy had spoken with earlier. Who is this stranger who speaks of omens? Asked one of the chieftains, eyeing the boy. It is I, the boy answered, and he told what he had seen. Why would the desert reveal such things to a stranger when it knows that we have been here for generations? Said another of the chieftains. Because my eyes are not yet accustomed to the desert, the boy said. I can see things that eyes habituated to the desert might not see. And also because I know about the soul of the world, he thought to himself. The oasis is neutral ground. No one attacks on oasis, said a third chieftain. I can only tell you what I saw. If you don't want to believe me, you don't have to do anything about it. The man fell into an animated discussion. They spoke in an Arabic dialect that the boy didn't understand. But when he made to the leave, the guard told him to stay. The boy became fearful. The omens told him that something was wrong. He regretted having spoken to the camel driver about what he had seen in the desert. Suddenly, the elder at the center smiled almost imperceptibly, and the boy felt better. The man had not participated in the discussion and, in fact, had not said a word up to that point. But the boy was already used to the language of the world, and he could feel the vibration of peace throughout the tent. Now the intuition was that he had seen right in coming. The discussion ended. The chieftains were silent for a few moments as they listened to what the old man was saying. Then he turned to the boy. This time His expressions was cold and distant. 2000 years ago, in a distant land, a man who believed in dreams was thrown into a dungeon and then sold as a slave. The old man said, and now in the dialect the boy understood. Our our merchants brought that man and brought him to Egypt. All of us know that whoever believes in dreams also knows how to interpret them. The elder continued, when the Pharaoh dreamed of cows that were thin and cows that were fat, this man I am speaking of rescued Egypt from famine. His name was Joseph. He too was a stranger in a strange land and like you, and he was probably about your age. He paused and his eyes were still unfriendly. We always observe the tradition. The tradition saved Egypt from famine in those days and made the Egyptians the wealthiest of the peoples. The tradition teaches man how to cross the desert and how their children should marry. The tradition says that an oasis is neutral territory because both sides have oases and so both are vulnerable. No one said a word as the old man continued. But the tradition also says that we should believe the messages of desert. Everything we know was taught to us by the desert. The old man gave a signal and everyone stood. The meeting was over. The hookahs were resting goings and the guards stood at the attention. The boy made ready to leave, but the old man spoke again. Tomorrow we are going to break the agreement that says that no one at the oasis may carry arms. Throughout the entire day, we will be on the lookout for our enemies. When the sun sets, the men will once again surrender their arms to me. For every 10 dead men among our enemies, you will receive a piece of gold. But arms cannot be drawn unless they also go into battle. Arms are as capricious as the desert, and if they are not used the next time, they might not function. If at least one of them has not been used by the end of the day tomorrow, one will be used on you. Sumanji, you want to take on from here?
Yes, yes. Thank you. When the boy left the tent, the oasis was illuminated only by the light of the full moon. He was 20 minutes from his tent and began to make his way there. He was alarmed by what had happened. He had succeeded in reaching through to the soul of the world, and now the price for having done so might be his life. It was a frightening bet, but he had been making risky bets ever since the day he had sold his sheep to pursue his personal legend. And as the camel driver had said, to die tomorrow was no worse than dying on any other day. Every day was there to be lived or to mark one's departure from this world. Everything depended on one word, maktab. Walking along in the silence, he had no regrets. If he died tomorrow, it would be because God was not willing to change the future. He would at least have died after having crossed the strait, after having worked in a crystal shop, and after having known the silence of the desert and Fatima's eyes. He had lived every one of his days intensely since he had left home so long ago. If he died tomorrow, he would already have seen more than other shepherds, and he was proud of that. Suddenly he heard a thundering sound, and he was thrown to the ground by a wind such as he had never known. The area was swirling in dust so intense that it hid the moon from view. Before him was an enormous white horse, rearing over him with a frightening scream. When the blinding dust had settled a bit, the boy trembled at what he saw. Astride the animal was a horseman dressed completely in black with a falcon perched on his left shoulder. He wore a turban and his entire face, except for his eyes, was covered with a black kerchief. He appeared to be a messenger from the desert, but his presence was much powerful than that of a mere messenger. The strange horseman drew an enormous curved sword from a scabbard mounted on his saddle. The steel of its blade glittered in the light of the moon. Who dares to read the meaning of the flight of the hawks? He demanded, so loudly that his words seemed to echo through the 50,000 palm trees of Alfayom. It is I who dare to it is I who dare to do so, said the boy. He was reminded of the image of Santiago Matamoros mounted on his white horse, with the infidels beneath his hooves. This man looked exactly the same, except that now the roles were reversed. It is I who dared to do so, he repeated, and he lowered his head to receive a blow from the sword. Many lives will be saved because to see through to the soul of the world. The sword did not fall. Instead, the stranger lowered it slowly until the point touched the boy's forehead. It drew a droplet of blood. The horseman was completely immobile, as was the boy. It didn't even occur to the boy to flee. In his heart, he felt a strange sense of joy. He was about to die in pursuit of his personal legend, and for Fatima, the omens had been true after all. Here he was, face to face with his enemy, but there was no need to be concerned about dying. The soul of the world awaited him, and he would soon be a part of it, and tomorrow his enemy would also be a part of that soul. The stranger continued to hold the sword at the boy's forehead. Why did you read the flight of the birds? I read only what the birds wanted to tell me. They wanted to save the oasis. Tomorrow, all of you will die because there are more men at the oasis than you have. The sword remained where it was. Who are you to change what Allah has willed? Allah created the armies and He also created the hawks. Allah taught me the language of the birds. Everything has been written by the same hand, the boy said, remembering the camel driver's words. The stranger withdrew the sword from the boy's forehead, and the boy felt immensely relieved, but he still could not flee. "Be careful with your prognostications," said the stranger. "When something is written, there is no way to change it." "All I saw was an army," said the boy. "I didn't see the outcome of the battle." The stranger seemed satisfied with the answer, but he kept the sword in his hand. What is a stranger doing in a stranger land? I am following my personal legend. It is not something you would understand. The stranger placed his sword in its scabbard, and the boy relaxed. I had to test your courage, the stranger said. Courage is the quality most essential to understanding the language of the world. The boy was surprised. The stranger was speaking of the things that very few people knew about. You must not let up, even after having come so far. He continued, "You must love the desert, but never trust it completely, because the desert tests all men. It challenges every step and kills those who become distracted." What he said reminded the boy of the old king. "If the warriors come here and your head is still on your shoulders at sunset, come and find me," said the stranger. The same hand that had brandished the sword now held a whip. The horse reared again, raising a cloud of dust. "Where do you live?" shouted the boy as the horseman rode away. The hand with the whip pointed to the south. The boy had met the alchemist. Next morning, there were 2,000 armed men scattered throughout the palm trees at El Fayum. Before the sun had reached its high point, 500 tribesmen appeared on the horizon. The mounted troops entered the oasis from the north. It appeared to be a peaceful expedition, but they all carried arms hidden in their robes. When they reached the white tent at the center of the El Fayum, they withdrew their scimitars and rifles, and they attacked an empty tent. The men of the oasis surrounded the horsemen from the desert, and within half an hour all but one of the intruders were dead. The children had been kept at the other side of a grove of palm trees, and saw nothing of what had happened. The women had remained in their tents, praying for the safe keeping of their husbands, and saw nothing of the battle either. Were it not for the bodies there on the ground, it would have appeared to be a normal day at the oasis. The only tribesman spared was the commander of the battalion. That afternoon he was brought before the tribal chieftains, who asked him why he had violated the tradition. The commander said that his men had been starving and thirsty, exhausted from many days of battle, and had decided to take the oasis so as to be able to return to the war. The tribal chieftain said that he felt sorry for the tribesmen, but that the tradition was sacred. He condemned the commander to death without honor. Rather than being killed by a blade or a bullet, he was hanged from a dead palm tree, where his body twisted in the desert wind. The tribal chieftain called for the boy and presented him with 50 pieces of gold. He repeated his story about Joseph of Egypt and asked the boy to become the counselor of the oasis. When the sun had set and the first stars made their appearance, the boy started to walk to the south. He eventually sighted a single tent, and a group of Arabs passing by told the boy that it was a place inhabited by genies. But the boy sat down and waited. Not until the moon was high did the alchemist ride into view. He carried two dead hawks over his shoulder. I am here, the boy said. You should not be here, the alchemist answered. Or is it your personal legend that brings you here? With the wars between the tribes, it is impossible to cross the desert, so I have come here. The alchemist dismounted from his horse and signaled that the boy should enter the tent with him. It was a tent like many at the oasis. The boy looked around for the ovens and other apparatus used in alchemy, but saw none. There were only some books in a pile, a small cooking stove, and the carpets covered with mysterious designs. Sit down, we will have something to drink and eat these hawks, said the alchemist. The boy suspected that they were the same hawks he had seen on the day before, but he said nothing. The alchemist lighted the fire, and soon a delicious aroma filled the tent. It was better than the scent of the hookahs. Why did you want to see me? The boy asked. Because of the omens, the alchemist answered. The wind told me you would be coming and that you would need help. It's not I the wind spoke about. It's the other foreigner, the Englishman. He is the one that is looking for you. He has other things to do first, but he is on the right track. He has begun to try to understand the desert. And what about me? When a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person to realize his dream, said the alchemist, echoing the words of the old king. The boy understood. Another person was there to help him toward his personal legend. So, you are going to instruct me? No, you already know all you need to know. I am only going to point you in the direction of your treasure. But there is a tribal war, the boy reiterated. I know what is happening in the desert. I have always found my treasure. I have a camel. I have my money from the crystal shop. And I have 50 gold pieces. In my own country, I would be a rich man. But none of that is from the pyramids, said the alchemist. I also have Fatima. She is a great, she is a treasure greater than anything else I have won. She was not found at the pyramids either. They ate in silence. The alchemist opened a bottle and poured a red liquid into Boy's cup. It was the most delicious wine he had ever tasted. Isn't wine prohibited here? The boy asked. It is not what enters men's mouth that's evil, said the alchemist. It is what comes out of their mouth, what that is. The alchemist was a bit daunting, but as the boy drank the wine, he relaxed. After they finished eating, they sat outside the tent under a moon so brilliant that it made the stars pale. Drink and enjoy yourself, said the alchemist, noticing that the boy was feeling happier. Rest well tonight, as if you were a warrior preparing for combat. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. You have got to find the treasure so that everything you have learned along the way can make sense. Tomorrow, sell your camel and buy a horse. Camels are traitorous. They walk thousands of paces and never seem to tire. Then suddenly they kneel and die. But horses tire bit by bit. You always know how much you can ask of them and when it is that they are about to die. Yes, Pranaviji, you want to read from here?
I just want to take 3 minutes of time, dear. Just three
Yeah,
minutes.
sure.
Thank you.
The following night, the boy appeared at the alchemist's tent with a horse. The alchemist was ready, and he mounted his own steed and placed the falcon on his left shoulder. He said to the boy, show me where there is life out in the desert. Only those who can see such signs of life are able to find treasure. They began to ride out over the sands with the moon lighting their way. I don't know if I will be able to find life in the desert, the boy thought. I don't know the desert that well yet. He wanted to say so to the alchemist, but he was afraid of the man. They reached the rocky place where the boy had seen the hawks in the sky, but now there was only silence in the wind. I don't know how to find a life in the desert, the boy said. I know that there is life here, but I don't know where to look. Life attracts life, the alchemist answered, and then the boy understood. He loosened the reins on his horse, who galloped forward over the rocks and sand. The alchemist followed as the boy's horse ran for almost half an hour. They could no longer see the palms of the oasis, only the gigantic moon above them and its silver reflections from the stones of the desert. Suddenly, for no apparent reason, the boy's horse began to slow. There is life here, the boy said to the alchemist. I don't know the language of the desert, but my horse knows the language of life. They dismounted, and the alchemist said nothing. Advancing slowly, they searched among the stones. The alchemist stopped abruptly and bent to the ground. Okay, Pranvi, yeah, go ahead, please.
Good morning to all. Yeah, can you just let me know where it is?
Yeah, yeah, from top it is fourth line, abruptly and bent to the ground.
Yeah. Uh, there was a hole there among the stones. The alchemist put his hand into the hole and then his entire arm up to his shoulder. Something was moving there, and the alchemist's eyes, the boy could see only his eyes, squinted with his effort. His arm seemed to be battling with whatever was in the hole. Then, with a motion that startled the boy, he withdrew his arm and leaped to his feet. In his hand, he grasped the snake by the tail. The boy leapt as well, but away from the alchemist. The snake fought frantically, making hissing sounds that shattered the silence of the desert. It was a cobra whose venom could kill a person in minutes. Watch out for his venom, the boy said. But even though the alchemist had put his hand in the hole and had surely already been bitten, his expression was calm. The alchemist is 200 years old, the Englishman had told him. He must know how to deal with the snakes of the desert. The boy watched as his companion went to his horse and withdrew a scimitar. With its blade, he drew a circle in the sand and then he placed the snake within it. The serpent relaxed immediately. Not to worry, said the alchemist. He won't leave the circle. You find life in the desert, the omen that I needed. Why was that so important? Because the pyramids are surrounded by the desert. The boy didn't walk to the boy didn't walk to talk about the pyramids. His heart was heavy and he has been melancholy since the previous night. To continue his search for the treasure meant that he had to abandon Fatima. I'm going to guide you across the desert, the alchemist said. I want to stay at the oasis, the boy answered. I have found Fatima, and as far as I am concerned, she is worth more than treasure. Fatima is a woman of the desert, said the alchemist. She knows that men have to go away in order to return, and she already has her treasure. It's you. Now she expects that you will find what it is you are looking for. Well, what if I decide to stay? Let me tell you what will happen. You will be the counselor of the oasis. You have enough gold to buy many sheep and many camels. You will marry Fatima and you'll both be happy for a year. You will learn to love the desert and you will get to know every one of the 50,000 palms. You'll watch them as they grow, demonstrating how the world is always changing. And you'll get better and better at understanding omens because the desert is the best teacher there is. Sometimes during the second year, you'll remember about the treasure. The omens will begin insistently to speak of it, and you will try to ignore them. You will use your knowledge for the welfare of the oasis and its inhabitants. The tribal chieftains will appreciate what you do, and your camels will bring you wealth and power. During the third year, the omens will continue to speak of your treasure and your personal legend. You will walk around night after night at the oasis, and Fatima will be unhappy because she will feel it was she who interrupted your quest. But you will love her and she will return your love. You will remember that she never asked you to stay because a woman of the desert knows that she must await her man. So you won't blame her. But many times you will walk the sands of the desert thinking that maybe you could have left that, you could have trusted more in your love for Fatima. Because what kept you at the oasis was your own fear that you might never come back. At that point, the omens will tell you that your treasure is buried forever. Then, sometime during the fourth year, the omens will abandon you because you have stopped listening to them. The tribal chieftains will see that and you will be dismissed from your position as a counselor. But by then, you will be a rich merchant with many camels and a great deal of merchandise. You will spend the rest of your days knowing that you didn't pursue your personal legend and that now it's too late. You must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. If he abandons that pursuit, it's because it was not true love, the love that speaks the language of the world. The alchemist erased the circle in the sand, and snakes slithered away among the rocks. The boy remembered the crystal merchant who had always wanted to go to Mecca, and the Englishman in search of the alchemist. He thought of the woman who had trusted in the desert, and he looked out over the desert that had brought him to the woman he loved. They mounted their horses, and this time it was the boy who followed the alchemist back to the oasis. The wind brought the sounds of the oasis to them, and the boy tried to hear Fatima's voice. But that night, as he had watched the cobra within the circle, the strange horseman with the falcon on his shoulder had spoken of love and treasure, of the woman of the desert, and of his personal legend. I'm going with you, the boy said, and he immediately felt peace in his heart. We will leave tomorrow before sunrise, was the alchemist's only response. The boy spent a sleepless night. 2 hours before dawn, he woke one of the boys who slept in his tent and asked him to show him where Fatima lived. They went to her tent, and the boy gave his friend enough gold to buy a sheep. Then he asked his friend to go into the tent where Fatima was sleeping and to awaken her and tell her that he was waiting outside. The young Arab did as he was asked and was given enough gold to buy yet another sheep. Now leave us alone, said the boy to the young Arab. The Arab returned to his tent to sleep, proud to have helped the counselor of the oasis and happy at having enough money to buy himself some sheep. Fatima appeared at the entrance to the tent. The two walked out among the palms. The boy knew that it was a violation of the tradition, but that didn't matter to him now. I'm going away, he said, and I want you to know that I'm coming back. I love you because. Don't say anything, Fatima interrupted. One is loved because one is loved. No reason is needed for loving. But the boy continued, I had a dream and met with the king. I sold crystal and crossed the desert. And because the tribes declared war, I went to the well seeking the alchemist. So, I love you because the entire universe conspired to help me find you. The two embraced. It was the first time either had touched the other. I will be back, the boy said. Before this, I always looked to the desert with longing, said Fatima. Now it will be with hope. My father went away one day, but he returned to my mother, and he has always come back since then. They said nothing else. They walked a bit farther among the palms, and then the boy left her at the entrance to her tent. I will return just as your father came back to your mother, he said. He saw that Fatima's eyes were filled with tears. You're crying? I am a woman of desert, she said, averting her face. But above all, I am a woman. Fatima went back to her tent, and when daylight came, she went out to do the course she had done for years. But everything had changed. The boy was no longer at the oasis, and the oasis would never again have the same meaning it had only yesterday. It would no longer be a place with 50,000 palm trees and 300 wells where the pilgrims arrived, relieved at the end of their long journeys. From that day on, the oasis would be an empty place for her. From that day on, it was the desert that would be important. She would look to it every day and would try to guess which star the boy was following in search of his treasure. She would have to send her kisses on the wind, hoping that the wind would touch the boy's face and would tell him that she was alive, that she was waiting for him, a woman awaiting a courageous man in search of his treasure. From that day on, the desert would represent only one thing to her, the hope for his return. Don't think about what you have left behind, the alchemist said to the boy as they began to ride across the sands of the desert. Everything is written in the soul of the world, and there it will stay forever. Men dream more about coming home than about leaving, the boy said. He was already reaccustomed to the desert silence. If what one finds is made of pure matter, it will never spoil, and one can always come back. If what you have found was only a moment of light, like the explosion of star, you would find nothing on your return. The man was speaking the language of alchemy, but the boy knew that he was referring to Fatima. It was difficult not to think about what he had left behind. The desert, with its endless monotony, put him to dreaming. The boy could still see the palm trees, the wells, and the face of the woman he loved. He could see the Englishman at his experiments and the camel driver who was a teacher without realizing it. Maybe the alchemist has never been in love, the boy thought. The alchemist rode in front with the falcon on his shoulder. The bird knew the language of the desert well, and whenever they stopped, he flew off in search of game. On the first day, he returned with a rabbit, and on the second, with two birds. At night, they spread their sleeping gear and kept their fires hidden. The desert nights were cold and were becoming darker and darker as the phases of the moon passed. They went on for a week, speaking only of the precautions they needed to follow in order to avoid the battle between the tribes. The war continued, and at times the wind carried the sweet, sicky smell of blood. Battles had been fought nearby, and the wind reminded the boy that there was a language of omens always ready to show him what his eyes failed to observe. On the seventh day, the alchemist decided to make camp earlier than usual. The falcon flew off to find game, and the alchemist offered his water container to the boy. "You're almost at the end of your journey," said the alchemist. "I congratulate you for having pursued your personal legend." "And you have told me nothing along the way," said the boy. "I thought you were going to teach me some of the things you know. A while ago, I rode through the desert with a man who had books on alchemy, but I was not able to learn anything from them. There is only one way to learn," the alchemist answered. "It's through action. Everything you need to know you have learned through your journey. You need to learn only one thing more." The boy wanted to know what that was, but the alchemist was searching the horizon, looking for the
Yes.
fact.
हाँ ठीक है, आप you can continue the sentence here.
Yeah, this is the last line, no? Looking for the
Yes,
falcon.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, does anyone wants to read or should I go ahead?
I
And
think let us
stop the reading and we can continue with the discussion as it is already 7:48.
Okay. Yes. Thank you all.
Yeah, who want to share first? Anjali ji, Mansi ji.
Hi everyone. So, what I realized that now he's growing somewhat spiritually, or maybe a little maturity is coming in Santiago when he himself is comparing with Santiago, that legend. So I think he's growing and becoming more understanding. And after he thinks now that he's able to understand this language of the soul, the language of the word, so he's gaining that insights and yeah, comparing himself to the legend is itself that he is enlightened one. He thinks that he has become enlightened, and now he's not pursuing anything without a thought, but he's becoming understanding that he has achieved something great when he's comparing himself with other shepherds also, that instead, in although if he doesn't find the treasure, he has already gained a lot of experience as compared to other shepherds, and he can continue living the simple life because already he has gained a lot. So I think that thing, that contentment, the feeling of contentment and feeling of satisfying life, that has dawned upon him, and he's happy with the present thing. One more thing, what I felt, that he's ready to experiment with a clear understanding that okay, whatever has done, like the night, no night, sometimes whatever, that's slaying of that tribesman, something happened, no, so that killing, but every morning is a new beginning. So that is also a point that I could relate, that buying a new horse or buying changing like his ride, that we can switch, we should switch to something else, we should always try something better whenever someone guides or someone shows that yes, change the course, it will help you. So take the guidance and keep searching, keep your journey ahead with new energy and new thought. Every morning is a new beginning, so go ahead. So I think that maturity and that feeling of contentment, that understanding, it is all enlightenment, that all is dawning upon him. So that's all. Anybody else? Hello, am I
That
Yeah,
audible or not?
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Today I was having the feeling that now the boy is more in search of the personal treasure due to Fatima's wills only. Because Fatima wills it, that's why he want to follow that treasure. He wants to come back to Fatima after maybe what I was feeling through the lines, and the girl was getting emotional. Yeah,
Shall I share
Kumar sir,
something?
yes sir,
Yeah.
please tell.
See, what I understood today is, everyone need a person to get motivated. We may have
बस
unlimited enthusiasm, but
से
at some point of time,
8 बजे तक ही होते हैं तुम्हारे भी
we
तो
may be little low. So here, Fatima is
पता
his
नहीं
mastermind, or at every stage, there is someone to guide him, someone to tell him that do this, do
But
this. This is my understanding. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning to all.
good morning.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead, please.
All right. So I have got two takeaways from here. The first one is there is a way to communicate everything, and to this boy, the alchemist tries to tell that you would definitely be happy if you marry Fatima and stay back in the desert, and you will become a very rich merchant as well. And the omens start speaking to you in many ways. The first year it speaks, the second, the third, and finally in the fifth year the omens will stop talking to you because you're ignoring the personal legend you have. You're ignoring the personal goals you have. So it's like, if you start ignoring your omens, you will really miss that pursuit as well. So there would be moments in life where you will realize your personal legends, but the time will be missing out. So he has given a perfect visualization to the boy that you will be happy at a physical level, that is at an outer level, but at the inner core level you will start ignoring your omen, and then you will mislead your life at a core level. But at a different level you'll be a successful person, but you'll always be dissatisfied with you because you're not pursuing your goals. So he has given a perfect visualization that first year it will be like this, second, third, fourth, fifth. By the time fifth year comes, you will really lose sight on your inner goals, and at the end of the day you'll be dissatisfied. So that creative realization was really good, and maybe the readers who are reading that also can get a clarity that what happens if they ignore their personal agenda or personal legends or whatever the inner goals.
So it's always better to listen to your inner voice, your inner heart, and work on it on the time precisely. It's basically on the time basis. Never miss out that important time. When it is out of the reach, it will be the same example as the crystal shop owner who thought of visiting to Mecca, but then he was totally confused with all the things, and finally he got settled with the shop which is not at all satisfied for him. Still, his personal things to go to Mecca was dissatisfied for him. So timing is also very important, and you need to really work on that as well. And the another takeaway which I have got was, the alchemist, while taking this boy to the destination, the boy tells that, oh, I thought that you would be guiding so many things to me, and you will share a lot of pearls of wisdom to me. But then alchemist says that few things can be learned with the experiences. So and it should be in action. So you will learn with the real time experiences, so nothing much to discuss. So we should also feel that you don't even get knowledge all the time from the books as well. It basically comes from the real time experiences as well. So it's better to take actions in your real life as much as possible, and you can gain the real pearls of wisdom. That's the takeaway I've got. Thank you all.
Oh, that's very wonderful. What thing struck me the most was the how the how the how it was written about the Fatima, that you will be both be happy for a year, and Fatima won't be in second year you will be reminded of the treasure, and third year you will move in, but Fatima won't be stopping you, because the girls of the desert know we must await the man. So this is the what I feel the true love is. You never stop the person you love to pursue his dream. Maybe it's at your cost. So she will let you do whatever you do. So this is the something very profound for me. And secondly, that yes, you should learn to read the language of Oman that have has already been quoted by the Pranavi. Yes. Mansi ji, Sujata ji, Anil ji, anyone else who want to share?
Throughout the book, the nature's imagery is so strong. Even traditions are there. The desert people, they follow the tradition. Still, it was said that uh, the messages of the desert, they are more important omens, because God speaks through those omens, and the language of the god, that is actually.
I personally feel that during his journey for his treasure, that the boy is actually getting the rewards and the treasure during his journey. He met with Fatima. He met with that the shopkeeper, the crystal shopkeeper. Now with the alchemist. Now then the Englishman. So all these, I think, are the treasure and the rewards for him. That he is understanding the way of life, how he should live the life. I think these are the treasures that the during his journey, whatever he is learning and the understanding he is taking. So those all things are the learning. I think these all are his treasure, and I think that the by these things that he is moving to his goal or ultimate destination of his life. But I think the destination is not important, the journey is important. So he is enjoying that journey, and everyone is pushing him to towards that destination. So that is my takeaway for today's reading.
One thing I would like to add, see, that chieftain asked, no, Santiago, that how can you see the omens? We cannot find. How were the birds talking to you, or how were you able to know that we are on the verge of the war? So he said, I could see the omens. I can read. So maybe same thing is reflected later on also, when Alchemist explains that once you are what do you say, once you are silent, or once you are just accustomed to the normal life, you stop seeking something. The omens also we are not able to read that time, but when we are searching, when we are looking for something, we come across the omens, we come across the people who are supporting us. So when a pursuit spot stops, everything stops. But if we are continuously searching, everything, the universe aligns, universe starts supporting, the people start supporting, like Fatima or the alchemist. everyone, they were supporting him, and even the Santiago, he was seeing the omens. But like other people, those who are living in the oasis, they were not able to see that omen because they were silent, they were contented with the life they have, and they were not looking out for something different, something new, or some changes. So that is like we should be open for our pursuit, and then everything aligns and everyone supports, even the nature.
Wonderful. Just to add to what Anilji said, yes, true happiness come from focusing on present and not to regret about the past, be anxious about the future. And we should live every moment, every day as it is our last day. Matlab, you never know what comes next. So this was also very profound in the reading today.
Yeah, one more takeaway was that it's just a continuation of what you said, dear. It's like this Fatima, when she meets Santiago, that is the day before, she felt the beauty of the palm trees over there, the oasis, the wells, and all, and it has given a lot of life to her. Because at that moment, she was with Santiago. And the very next day, when Santiago has left the Fatima, and then when Fatima tried to see there, though there were a lot of, though there was oasis, date palms and all, she, in front of us, it was just as desert to her. Because yesterday she was with Santiago and she lived the moment over there and she was totally happy. But the moment, the very next day, when she has come across this day, she just felt that it was just a desert, though everything was there. So it's better to always live in the moment and enjoy the moment. So that's the takeaway again I have learned from that. Thank you all.
But that was so wonderful, and even I felt ki, yeah, the beauty lies with the company you have. Yeah. Mansi ji, Mansi ji, Sujata ji, Anil ji, anything else? Rajkumar sir, anything else you want to share?
Nahi, thank you, Pallavi and Anilji, for taking the lead. Such a wonderful book. An example of manifestation, goal achievement, and Mansi is a world leader to motivate everyone, and we are all learning. She's like, in failed group, what Vasudev does, Mansi does in book club. And thank you to all masterminds for sharing your experiences. I see Suman, a regular reader in all books, reading and regular sharing. Sujata also is very regular, Parnavi, Anjali. So learning from each one of you. Thank you, thank you,
Thank you to you also. It's all your motivation. We all are the beads of a rosary.
thank you. And I think it's a great learning from this book, Santiago. We should all become Santiago and accept everything what is coming in our life. This is what, accept everything which is coming and be positive that good will happen. This is what I'm learning every day when I'm picking up any part of the book.
Thank you so much. Now I think we thank you everyone for joining and reading for us and sharing their insights. We will continue. Now we will go ahead tomorrow. Wishing everybody a blessed day. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
You
you.
all have a
Thank
great day.
you.
Happy Monday. Bye bye.
Bye.
you. Bye. Happy Monday. Yeah. Bye all.
अंजलि जी आज आपने नहीं कुछ शेयर किया मानसी जी ऑल गुड
Yeah, yeah, I was listening. And actually I could relate also, na, like, so ज़्यादा कुछ था नहीं. I'll share tomorrow.
I'm taking the notes.
Nice.
Anil ji, you can also take the notes, please.
मैं नोट्स ले लेता हूँ लेकिन पल्लवी